Hi, everyone. My name is James Hutter. I'm from the Port Washington Public Library, and I'm here with.
Jonathan Guildroy, Director of Media Services at the Port Washington Public Library.
And so today we're going to be talking about a service called Hoopla. And so, Jonathan, just tell us a little bit about your experience with Hoopla and how you stumbled upon it.
Well, who knows how long ago, someone said, oh, there's this service that offers movies and TV shows and other things, and we're going to get that. What do you think about it? And I thought, oh, I don't like this. I have spent, 10, 15 years building a DVD collection. It's now up to about 30,000 or more titles that I picked, I cataloged, I processed, I promote. And now this other thing is coming in that is already picked and promoted and put together. And it seemed like it was going to just come to put me out of business or just to be a sort of like, I almost saw it as an enemy. It was someone who's like infringing on my space. So I responded as a mature adult and totally ignored it. And then when we went into this hibernation period, I thought, well, let's try to be big and look at what this actually is and see what it offers and not be afraid of it or angry at it and just see how does it look. So I took my first serious look at it once I was home and away from my DVD collection. And I had to reluctantly admit that I was fairly impressed with it as something that we can offer people, especially when our building is closed. The other important thing to note is that although we have 30,000 plus DVDs, people have their hands on them and treat them horrifically. And I still can't imagine what people are doing to these poor DVDs that make them not playable. I clean them, I repair them, and get them back out. And then they come back and they're scratched and they have goo on them and so on. The good thing about Hoopla is that nothing has goo on it. Nothing on Hoopla has like a weird sort of crusty goo that makes it not play. So that's a really good thing.
So you were a little skeptical of the streaming format. You've always been a fan of physical format.
Yes.
And the library has a huge collection. You have so many hidden gems and things like that. But as you said, it's a physical media. Sometimes it gets a little damaged. We have to replace items and things like that. Whereas Hoopla has its own collection and its own selection of items, and they're streaming. So there's nothing physical, nothing that could be damaged in any way.
Right. And I've been a collector all my life. I've always collected something, little Matchbox cars, little plastic dinosaurs, including my own music CD collection. So I'm weirdly attached to a thing. I don't like the idea that something is sort of in the ether. I don't even know where these movies are. They're not really anywhere. So I'm just by nature suspicious of them. But I am reluctantly admitting that it's a good thing.
Okay, all right. We'll take it. It is a pandemic. We are trying to we are starved for entertainment. Yes. And any form of media, I think we'll take at this point, something to sort of occupy us and take our mind off things. So with that being said, you curated a few lists of recommended items here, Jonathan, and maybe we can go through your first list, which was movies that you had encountered in Hoopla.
So movies is the thing that I like the most. And just taking a browse through it, I said, oh, this is good. When you first go to Hoopla, you get what seems to me an entirely random assortment of things. And that's sort of a slog to go through, but you quickly realize that you can limit your search by genre. And then things really fall into place and you can say, oh, well, I like crime films. So, oh, look at that. They have Fast and Furious, which is not the car racing movies of the 1990s. It's a sort of a late film noir from 1954 or something like that. It's like more of it involves cars, but it's more about like a crime movie. And I thought, oh, well, if it's got that, that's a good start. What else did I see? Oh, I saw that they had the Buster Keaton Shorts collection, 1920 to 23. And I think a lot of library collections today totally ignore the first, say, quarter of film history, the silent era, and they just start probably not even in the 1930s, but here is Buster Keaton working at the height of his powers, making short films that, although he's not credited as the director, they're his works, and they're works of genius. They're hilarious. He's as deadpan as always, does amazing stunts that you can't believe a human being could do and survive. and a couple of times he almost didn't. But they're just wonderful films, and they are 20 minutes long. So if you don't have a lot of time, or maybe if you're like really freaking out about the pandemic and you just need like 20 minutes of entertainment, Buster Keaton Shorts Collection, 1920 to 23 is the way to go.
That's terrific. That's a great recommendation. And then I'm looking at this list of genres. We can even run down the list here. You spotlight a few crime films. How about The Sting? That's a classic.
The Sting is a classic. Let's see, what do I have to say? I think the good thing about Hoopla is that it's got a lot of things that I think everyone has seen, although if you haven't seen The Sting yet, you got to see The Sting. Mm-hmm. But it's got some pretty good obscure ones, and it's got some classic Oscar-winning ones, and The Sting is lovely. Newman, Redford, what can go wrong?
Mm-hmm. You have directed by women is another genre. It looks like is searchable in Hoopla. And I'm not
sad. It's sad that this is still something that has to be a topic of like minority, like the saddest, smallest minority. One thing I noticed in there that I remember liking a lot is Bride and Prejudice, which is a British/Indian update of Pride and Prejudice, directed by Gurinder Chadha. And that's a wonderful one. So, hopefully at some point in the future, this will not even need to be a topic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Then also moving along here, documentaries. I see that you watched the new Mr. Rogers. It's You That
Mm-hmm.
I Like.
Mm-hmm.
And any thoughts on that? Because that was actually getting a lot of traction on social media. It seemed like it made a big splash when it was released.
Well, what I actually haven't seen this one yet.
Oh.
It's on my list of things to see. So
Mm-hmm.
I saw the Tom Hanks docudrama about
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Rogers, and it reminded me of a time when I was not quite a child anymore. I think I was maybe like 11 or 12, but was still coming home from school and watching Mr. Rogers because there was something so soothing about his presence and so loving and calm and humorous that he's just a wonderful person that Tom Hanks's movie reminded me of. So I'm looking forward to that one.
Great. I see here fantasy. So I'm a big fan of the fantasy genre, and there's a film here that's kind of recent that I had never heard of, and forgive me if I'm mispronouncing this, but Undine?
Undine, yes. And there's another one. When I wrote my list, I was looking for things that I would like to see, and that's on that list. I haven't seen it yet. People have recommended it to me, and when I started looking, I thought, well, these are all things that I have seen, Mr. Film Expert. And in fact, there's a lot of stuff that I haven't seen, and still stuff to be seen. So, I mean, that's good. I mean, that would be a sort of a sad movie collection of things that you maybe would watch again because you've already seen them 300 times.
Yeah, and now I'm a big horror fan, and I know you are too. So.
Yes. Oh.
And I see you've got some selections here. You've got Phantasm, which is just a classic. And do you have any thoughts on that? It looks like the 1979 version.
This is 1979. I have a distinct memory. I'm in Augusta, Maine, in a movie theater in 1979. I'm seeing this movie at night. I'm the only one in the theater. And when it's over, I get up and the usher comes in and I said, "That was freaky." And he said, "Yes, it was." And we had a little moment together and I went home.
And now these other films you selected are considered like modern classics now. A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night.
Mm-hmm.
And then also Let the Right One In.
So foreign horror films, which, I mean, when I was a kid growing up, I don't think there was a horror for. I mean, there of course were foreign horror films, but nothing that was available for any of us to see. I guess we had seen pictures of Mexican horror films that looked amazing. They actually weren't amazing, but they looked amazing. But so here is like the sort of recent wave of people taking on the vampire genre, changing it totally, bringing their own cultural taste to it. Fascinating. And hey, let's go. Let's watch.
Excellent. We can move along here. Romance. I don't know. This is a blind spot for me. I am just not a romance genre fan.
No.
But you have some recommendations here, Jonathan. I don't know if you had watched any of these films or if there's any that you really
What did I like?
Well, you have Amelie from 2001.
Oh, lovely.
Mm-hmm.
Foreign film?
Yes. You have Like Water for Chocolate from 1992.
Gorgeous. Mm-hmm.
Another film. Great. And Pillow Talk, 1959.
Oh, Doris Day and Rock Hudson.
So definitely you're a fan of that film.
It's not my genre, but
Mm-hmm.
sure. I mean, two people falling in love, that's always good. So
Okay.
yeah, it's not as good as like one vampire feeding off of another vampire, but it's good.
We can move. This is another favorite genre of mine personally, science fiction.
Oh, yes. Also, Silent Running, 1972. I immediately flash back to my dad taking me to the theater in New York City, which in 1972, New York City was just amazing to me. And he dropped me off, and I saw Silent Running, which is a very unusual science fiction film because it's an environmentalist film about what would happen if Earth lost all of its trees and plants. And it's pretty much just about one guy, played by Bruce Dern, and his little friends, who are three little robots who are played by amputees who use their arms as legs.
Wow.
So it's a bizarre story, but beautifully done. Has beautiful music by Peter Schickele, aka PDQ Bach, and Joan Baez singing the theme song, and has special effects by the guy who had just done 2001: A Space Odyssey. So a lot of talent coming together. And Bruce Dern, in one of it, I think at the time, he was just like a character actor for years and years, but here he was given his own movie to star in, and he's pretty much just on the screen the whole time by himself, talking to these little boxes with legs. And it's about saving the freaking planet.
Wow.
Saving what makes Earth great, and the courage of one guy to do it. I'm getting chills just thinking about it. And there I was in a theater as a little 14-year-old kid,
mm-hmm.
being moved by this. Also on probably a Saturday morning with almost no one else in the theater. And so I'm going to love that movie forever and recommend it to anyone.
Oh, that's terrific. A little bit of trivia. Joan Rivers did actually play a robot.
Yes.
Spaceballs.
Oof.
Spaceballs. The Mel
Do I
Brooks
hate
movie.
Spaceballs? Oh man, is that bad? But yes, she did.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then we've got one more genre that we were just going to talk about, and that's suspense.
Mm. What did I pick?
So you have The Captive from 2014, No Country for Old Men, which I loved, and I love
mm-hmm.
the author that wrote that book,
mm-hmm.
and then Remember from 2015.
That's funny that it's called Remember, and I don't remember it. I mean, I love the suspense genre. I love the film noir genre.
Mm-hmm.
And as I was going through Hoopla, though, I have to say that in certain areas, it would offer maybe 10 examples of a genre, whereas the library offers 150 examples.
Mm-hmm.
So I think probably in the film noir genre, I think the library beats Hoopla. I'm hoping so. I think so.
Mm-hmm.
In the romance genre, they probably win.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they're two different animals, really, Hoopla and the library. And I know,
mm-hmm.
We've got our favorites, whether it's on Hoopla or in the library on physical disc. And but for me, I'm just starved for entertainment right now. And definitely films are filling that need.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Well, fortunately, I brought home a lot of DVDs that had not yet been cataloged. So I'm cataloging them at home, watching them at home, getting them ready to go. And boy, am I going to be ready to go when we get back into the building. I have lots of boxes and boxes of great stuff to add.
Oh, nice. That's terrific.
Yes.
So, Jonathan, I just want to thank you. We're going to wrap this up. Thanks for talking
Okay.
about some favorite films of yours that you discovered on Hoopla. And I think for our next video, we're going to talk about television on Hoopla.
Yep.
Great. So thanks
Good.
again, Jonathan.
Thank you.